Hello and welcome to Italics, the Italian-American magazine. I'm your host, Jospeh Scelsa. I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas, Buon Natale, and a Happy New Year, Felice Anno Nuovo, to our entire community and their families. It's been a tumultuous, challenging year for everyone, to say the very least. But with the coming of the new year, we can all join together and look forward to the prospect of a more united future where freedom and justice, and yes, the American way of life, is no longer taken for granted by us or threatened by others. In the spirit of freedom and community, Italics forges on its mission, bringing you the events and personalities that form the fabric of our thriving Italian-American community. First on Italics, we'll take you to the Coalition of Italo-American Associations' 18th Annual Leadership Gala Dinner. Among this year's honoree was CUNY Chancellor Mathew Goldstein. Then we'll meet New York State Senator John J. Marchi, the longest-serving state legislator in the United States today. We'll also be announcing the formation of an exciting new museum in New York City dedicated to the Italian-American experience. The Coalition of Italo-American Associations is the nation's largest umbrella organization of Italian-American groups in the country. Much of the work of the coalition involves philanthropic and educational initiatives to improve the situation of Italian-Americans and those in need across the nation. The coalition's gala served not only to illuminate the outstanding achievement by members of the community, but also as a fundraiser for relief efforts for the victims and families of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Among the evening's honorees were New York City Fire Commissioner Thomas Van Essen, City University Chancellor Mathew Goldstein, Kelly Ripa, co-host of ABC Television's Regis and Kelly morning program, and the fourth tenor, the dynamic Michael Amante. Italics correspondent Francesca Madonia reports from the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City.
Hello and welcome to Italics. I'm Francesca Madonia. We're here at the Waldorf Astoria where the Coalition of the Italo-American Association honors CUNY Chancellor Mathew Goldstein. The coalition also presents the Lifetime Achievement Award to television personality Kelly Ripa.
The Black Tie star-studded gala began with a silent auction, including a baseball autographed by the Mick and a boxing glove signed by Muhammad Ali, along with photographs and paintings. All the money raised from the auction is being donated to charities which support the families of uniformed victims of the World Trade Center terrorist attack. The gala was originally scheduled for late September, but was postponed shortly after the tragedies of September 11th.
It was an amazing sight to see strangers side by side, firefighters, police officers, construction and utility workers, average citizens, persevere and show the rest of the world the resolve of New Yorkers and the endurance of freedom-loving Americans. They restored the faith and confidence in the basic belief that goodwill will always prevail over evil. And because of them, it didn't take New York long to resume business. They told the world that our buildings can be toppled, but our spirit can never be broken, because we are Americans.
Thomas Van Essen, Commissioner of the New York City Fire Department, was presented with an angel, forged from silver ingots recovered from the debris of the World Trade Center disaster. The angels are engraved with the names of the city's fallen uniformed public servants and will be presented to each of their respective families. More than 450 individual angels were forged.
But Pete Gansey's son is here tonight, and I don't know where he was, but I saw him outside. I'd just like to salute him. There he is back there. Follows a great man. And on behalf of him and all the firefighters that we lost that day, and the police officers who did a phenomenal job, the police officers from the NYPD and the police officers and Port Authority, and all the emergency workers, I thank you for your support. The city's been unbelievable. Thank you very, very much.
Michael Amante, also known as the fourth tenor, received this year's award from the Coalition for outstanding achievement in the performing arts.
I guess the only way that I can thank all of you and to thank these folks here is to keep singing. And for all of those Italians here in the audience, I know I cater to Italians, and that's just the way it is. Tu sole, che bello, oh sole mio. sta in fronte a te, o sole mio, sta in fronte a te. Do you want the high note? Sta in fronte. Thank you.
Mathew Goldstein, the Chancellor of the City University of New York, was presented with this year's award for outstanding leadership in education and public service.
At this time in our history, education, higher education, lower education, is no longer something that can be ignored as it has been in some quarters around our town. This is something that is so critically essential for the challenges that we all face at this time in this city's history. Our public schools, our public universities in this city and the state are so critically important for all of us to maintain a competitive edge as we are profoundly challenged day to day in creating the kind of economic environment and opportunities for our young people in this city. Let me just say that you can have the whole world as long as you leave Italy for me. And mille grazie ai miei amici italiani. Thank you so much.
Kelly Ripa, television soap opera star and co-host of the hit morning television program Live with Regis and Kelly, was presented with the award for leadership in acting and entertainment.
I am very honored and proud to be here, although I don't think that my accomplishments nearly match those of everyone else that sits up here, but I will say this: I am proudly American and proudly Italian, and I thank you all for honoring me this evening. Thank you very much.
Among the evening's other honorees were Josephine Bartiromo, mother of CNBC financial analyst Maria Bartiromo, her Italian role model; Salvatore Saldano, chairman of the American Stock Exchange for Leadership in Finance and Investment; Henry J. Caruso, CEO of HJC Investments for Leadership in Business; and Joseph Lagana, president of U.S. Information Systems, received the Coalition's Humanitarian Award.
So I think this is a good turnout, and to honor those that we lost and to remind everyone else that New York and the United States is still alive and we're going to survive.
New York State Senator John J. Marchi is the longest-serving state legislator in the United States. Senator Marchi has served the 24th District in Staten Island for 22 consecutive terms since 1957. In his most recent election in 2000, Senator Marchi received over 90% of his constituents' votes. Senator Marchi has also received some of the highest honors and recognitions bestowed by the Republic of Italy. His pride, knowledge, and commitment to his ethnic heritage is unparalleled. We recently got a chance to sit down with the senator and talk about the many notable political events and personalities met in his long, ongoing career in public office. We discussed these and many topics with the most distinguished of statesmen in this first of a two-part interview. Hello, Italics is here today with New York State Senator John Marchi. New York State Senate, 24th District, Staten Island, the longest sitting state legislator in the United States, not just New York State. He's now currently in his 45th year in office, over 50 years in public service. Welcome to Italics, Senator.
Well, I'm delighted to be here with you, Dr. Scelsa, Joe. And believe me, I didn't bleed. I've enjoyed my odyssey thus far. Look forward to doing more.
Well, you've been very, very productive, as we know. 45 years in the New York State Senate.
As a member.
As a member.
And before that, 4 years before, I went up as counsel, where I drafted a lot of the stuff that later appeared, you know.
That's quite an impressive record. What were some of those early things that you worked on before you even went into the Senate?
Well, I was in World War II, and I had my doctorate of juridical science, and I worked on Meals on Wheels, conservation measures, the Adirondacks, the Forever Wild provisions of the Adirondacks. Well, so many things that grew and were expanded subsequently. State University, things like that. So I've had a long and most enjoyable opportunity to address so many wide variety of issues. And that's the beauty of state legislative work. You might get the cosmic effect in Washington, and I had offers from several presidents to go to Washington. And you may discuss them as matters of public policy more in the Senate, and I was offered an opportunity to run at that time. But where you really get intimately involved in a wide variety of matters with good staff, with an ability to do some very serious researching, I found that niche with several exciting challenges.
Well, you almost run unopposed every time. I mean, and many
times.
Well,
for the last over 20 years now, I've had bipartisan
support.
Yeah, but the public was good. Yeah.
Well, I think they know what. I think they know they had a good man. I think that's got a lot to do with it. You were in the vanguard with a lot of very important pieces of ideas that became legislation from the very beginning. One of them I know that was developed during the Rockefeller years was the expansion of City University, where we sit today. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Oh, sure. The City University, I remember discussing it with the budget director at that time in the early 60s, and I said, well, it's not that much of a problem because we know how much money we have available, so we divide what is disposable and calculate on the basis of $1,000 per student. I said, yes, but we have cutoffs. If you have 83.4, you're admitted. If you have 83.3, you're not. Mm-hmm. I said, there should be a greater availability predicated on meeting the requirements, academic requirements. So from that, we developed well, it was a tuition policy where they could afford it, and some of it was not affordable, but then we had to make provision. So it had its growth pains, but the City University, considering the challenge that it faced to bring to the greater number of New Yorkers the opportunity for higher education, was significant. And people like Lester Granger, who was Assistant Secretary of Defense during World War II, and drafted the Granger Report, and was the executive chairman of the Urban League, and had so many, was a great, incalculable help, and we were able to make it more accessible to a greater number of people. And the City University, of course, is an institution that commands worldwide respect at this point.
Well, we appreciate all your efforts on our behalf. Now, you've served with a number of governors. I think the first was Dewey?
Dewey, when I was counsel. And I remember going down, working with Dewey, with several counsels from the Senate and the Assembly, and with Governor Dewey himself. And then later I took on Governor Harriman, and I used to meet him when I ran for mayor unsuccessfully, but nevertheless with a lot of, well, it had a lot of lift.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, but I remember that I used to meet with Averell Harriman quite often, and we would just discuss the old days. And he said, well, I liked you an awful lot, and you did everything that ought to have been done. He said, the only thing I wish you had become a Democrat. Well, I said, the party, the country rests on the best that is put in by both parties. So I think we've all had our opportunity to serve.
You always know just how to answer the question.
Yeah.
But you've been enjoyed bipartisan support for so long. Obviously, they appreciated you quite a bit. But you also served under Rockefeller, and those were great years, I think, in terms of expansion.
Rocky had, you know, he started when we had the State University. It was just a handful of teacher colleges, really. I'm not demeaning them, but I mean, we didn't, and we knew that we had exhausted our growth prospects in the private sector. We had the baby booming coming along, and no way to meet the great problem. New Jersey, I don't know whether they still have to, they have to go out of state to find a university if they want, but we met it head on, and we would not have been able to do it with the existing plant, which had matured and grown on the non-public basis. And so we came in with the State University. Now, out of 4 teacher colleges, you've got facilities all over the state. And the same thing with the City University, where they had, it was an easy problem to solve. You just take the very highest percentage. Well, it's fine, but you also have a responsibility to make it more accessible and more available to more students. And the best will always, there'll always be the people who come in at the top and will do well, but you will also provide an avenue of self-improvement and the requirements of a big city like New York. You can't conceive of a city of New York if it didn't have a good backup, a good infrastructure of academic disciplines, of skills in various trades and ways of making a living. That they are the indispensable bricks of a solid foundation for any great city. And here we are, the capital of the world, really. We need that kind of substructure and the agencies and units of activity, whether it be they academic, social, spiritual, all of them fit in very appropriately to make up a great city. New York City is a great city, and we're very proud of it. And you know, modestly, I take pride and joy looking back over the years and seeing what we've done.
Now, unfortunately, back in 1975, the city was just about bankrupt.
Yes,
you were chairman of the finance committee at the time.
Yes, I 16 years, and I said, we have to resolve this. And I immediately had some problems upstate. But I told them, you're going to have the same problems, because if New York City goes belly up and they go bankrupt, that seepage is going to hurt all of you. And in fact, they started to feel it. And I knew that I had a good, reasonable number of Republicans, not too many from the city of New York, but I did have some around the state. And the majority leader at that time we had Earl Bridges, and Warren Anderson was the majority leader. We had good people. Well, we got into it, and I remember getting up in conferences. Now, man, nobody ever talks about what happens in a conference. I would say, look, you can be for whatever you want, but I want this conference not to try to block, as some were suggesting, that we block any saving legislation. You know, let it. In fact, Jerry Ford initially came on with that spirit, and then changed his mind, and we remained fast friends thereafter, because he was constantly at our side when we needed him. But they did that, and they made their critiques, but it was legislation was not impeded, and so I felt at that time. And we had people from the outside, like Felix Roden, who joined in, and we evolved those institutional factors that gave substance to the city, and they're still available to the city. Of course, we have to exercise discipline, but we have never defaulted since those days, and we were just inches away from total bankruptcy. So you don't have to accept a situation. You have to have the discipline and the determination not to deviate from that central principle. It would have been bad for the whole state, bad for for the country if we had gone through that. Very, very demoralizing effect on the country, I think.
Well, actually, would have had many people think a ripple effect.
Sure, sure it does. And you've got to light that portion of the world that you can affect. The totality of those efforts around the country make for a strong country. But if we don't have that, it may. You don't want to spend money willy-nilly, waste money. That's you're wasting people's substance. On the other hand, sometimes there are tough decisions that you have to make that are not easy, that you would believe might be the automatic signal for defeat. No, if you stick with your guns and you do what is right, the people will support you. And generally you'll find out that something good comes out of it, you know.
Well, I know that you ran for mayor in 1969 and 1973.
Yeah.
Those were interesting years. That was prior to the financial, well, we knew the crisis was coming, but you know, that was prior to it. Do you regret that you ran, or?
No, I don't regret those years at all. I lost. I didn't have the money. I never had the money to put citywide ads in, but every debate I ever had, I threw my my material out, and in my district, I draw heavily whether the district is white or black or whatever. I mean, there's no, and it's not defined on party line necessarily, but we all try very hard and do our best, and this is what happened, and I was very happy, and there was one article that was published in Times, I think, by Jonathan Hicks, which reviewed even comments made by people like Abe Beam, Dave Jenkins, Ed Koch, mayors, people who were mayors, John Lindsay, people who were mayors before, you know. And I never had an opponent that I wasn't a friend before, during, and after. But we can have there's so much material out there. You don't have to be dull or passive. You can have a very lively discussion of events without ever trespassing on the personal life of another person who may have a differing point of view, but an important point of view. So,
well, we're going to have to stop now, but we'll come back again. We'll be visiting again with Senator Marchi next month on Italics, continuing this conversation about the Marchi years. Look forward to it.
Very good. I do too.
At a recent meeting of the Coalition of Italo-American Associations, Mr. Joseph Grano, CEO of UBS Payne Webber, announced an exciting new initiative creating the Italian-American Museum. Let's hear Mr. Grano's speech now.
And what I would like to see of all of you, because you're all successful people, I would like to see you step up and do something for the Italian culture and make sure that it is sustainable, first with your own children and then with each other. We need to start coalescing. I'm not talking about doing things for each other when we don't deserve it. I'm talking about doing it when we do and breaking every damn tie. And I'm going to give you a chance to do that. We're going to create in this city. There is a Jewish museum, there is a women's museum, there is a Greek museum, there is every museum in the world except an Italian museum. And go to Ellis Island, and I hope you put your family's names on that wall. I've committed to creating an Italian museum, and I want my children to go through it. And I'm going to start with the civilization of Rome, and I hope we can transcend all of the cultural contributions of our forefathers. We have a lot to talk about. And I want to end it with all of you in this room and the contributions you've made to the United States. And when the time comes, I want you to reach in your pocket, I want you to write the damn check, and I want you to bring your families to this museum. I'll tell you, we did it with the Italians for New York at the Historical Society, 200,000 people. The single largest exhibit in the history of it. It is time. And it might as well be in New York to send a beacon to all the rest of the Italians around the nation. And it's going to start culturally, because if everyone wants to know, no nonsense, no question, what has the Italians done for the world? It's culture. And we might as well remind ourselves and our children and the rest of the world, not only today, but forever. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll answer any questions.
The Italian-American Museum was created as an outgrowth from the successful exhibition, The Italians of New York, 5 Centuries of Struggle and Achievement. The overwhelming public response to this exhibition signaled the need for a museum dedicated to the Italian-American experience. The museum was chartered by the New York State Board of Regents on June 12, 2001. The museum will temporarily be housed at the Calandra Institute until a permanent home is acquired. The museum's exhibition space at the Calandra Institute in Manhattan is scheduled to be open in the spring of 2002. So stay tuned to Italics for future updates on the museum. Well, that's it for another episode of Italics. As we end our show and roll our credits, Italics correspondent Francesca Madogno will take you to a replica of an 18th century Neapolitan presepio or crèche, recently donated by the Chamber of Commerce of the City of Naples to the New York City Fire Department. The presepio is presented by Naples as a symbol of friendship and solidarity. The crèche is dedicated to the heroes of the 9/11 catastrophe and can be seen at the Church of St. Michael on 34th Street and 9th Avenue, Manhattan, until January 6th. Please join us next month on Italics for part 2 of our fascinating interview with New York State Senator John Marchi. I'd like to wish all of you, from all of us at the Calandra Institute and CUNY TV, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, with peace on earth to us all. I'm Jospeh Scelsa. Ciao for now.
Hello and welcome to Italics. I'm Francesca Madogno. We're here at St. Michael's Church in Manhattan, where a replica of an 18th century Neapolitan presepio was recently donated by the City of Naples to the New York City Fire Department. The presepio is a symbol of solidarity and friendship and is dedicated to the heroes of 9/11.
A ceremony and mass was held in honor of the heroes and victims of the tragedy of 9/11. Antonio La Russa Petruzzi, Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce of the City of Naples, and Vincenzo Mata of NIAF officially presented the presepio to Daniel Nigro, Chief of the New York Fire Department. The presepio, or crèche, was blessed by Father Mark Delocchini of St. Michael's Church.
The Magi that stand before us this day hold in their hands 3 helmets representing the firemen of the City of New York who died this September 11th. As the Magi came bearing gifts, may we this Christmas gift one another. May these helmets represent the gold of charity, the myrrh of kindness, and the incense of peace.
Since the first moment after tragedy has been present here, and for many weeks I got calls, telegrams, messages, visits of representatives of Italy, municipality, everybody in Italy cares of New York. Today, Naples is here on behalf of Italy. This nativity set is a sign of this cooperation, of this friendship that unites the 2 countries.
Chief Nigro, it's been a very difficult year for the fire department. How does a crèche like this help?
I think it helps, and it shows once again that around the world this event has touched people, and it touched the people in Naples to such an extent to create this magnificent nativity scene in which the kings hold 3 helmets signifying the deaths of so many firefighters, and it's just a beautiful, handmade, from the heart gift.